Welcome, everyone. I'm Suzanne Taylor King, life and mental performance coach for entrepreneurs. I'm really excited today to bring you this overhead view of some of the top things that I do to attract people to me in the online space. I've learned from lots of experts over the years about what not to do on social media. And it's a continuing, evolving process. But one of the things I've always been a huge fan of is building relationships with people, actually knowing my connections, actually connecting with those connections, and knowing the value that they bring to the table so they can know mine. And what happens is when you do that, it's definitely the long game as far as building a business goes. But when you do that, what happens, the people that reach out to you to connect with you, to hire you, are much higher quality people. They're not interested in wasting your time. They're not interested in picking your brain and having you give them services or time for free. They are those higher level connections. And because of that, I get speaking invitations, just got one today, to a group of 250 CEOs. It's a private community. I never would have been able to search it. I wouldn't have been able to find it. The woman who's in charge of talent found me, researched me, liked my content, liked my vibe on video, and reached out and asked me if I'd be interested in talking to her group. So that's kind of the thing I'm talking about. And if you want more of that in your business, yes, raise your hand. Let's see more of that. Everybody. Yay, love it. All right. So if you want more of that in your business, it's a very, I won't say easy, but it's a step-by-step process. And I'm going to give you the steps today. So make sure, if you've been on my trainings before, pen and paper, or be taking notes, because there'll be a ton of stuff to write down. All right. Now let's jump right in, and we're going to talk about the first thing you need to do. You need to decide what freaking platform you're going to be a rock star on. One platform that you're going to be a rock star on. If it's Instagram, stay on Instagram. If it's LinkedIn, stay there. You can be on other platforms, but please know where your ideal clients are hanging out and where you're really going to invest your time in making those connections, reaching out to people, meeting people, all of that good stuff. Make sense? All right. Now, the next thing I want to touch on briefly is teaming up with other people. Now, I love doing this. I love collaborating. I love including other people's offers with my offers, which I'm currently working on something with Monty to be announced coming soon. So those collaboration things expose you to more people. And I recently asked one of my connections if any of you come to coach conversations. I had a guest a couple months ago, Pablo Gonzalez, and he talked about a relationship flywheel. And that relationship flywheel, you could do a search on LinkedIn for Pablo Gonzalez and just look for his podcast that talks about that. And in that relationship flywheel, to really make sure that you're providing that value for your ideal clients. And when you partner with people, you're partnering with people who have the same ideal client, not just any random person who will have you, but people who have the same ideal client. So it makes sense that if I was going to partner with somebody, I might not partner with somebody like David. David has a little bit different ideal client than me. He might work with entrepreneurs, but not always. He's more of a speaker and he has online courses. So we don't exactly have the same ideal client. Slight overlap, but not completely. When I do a class with Coach Chris, he coaches entrepreneurs and salespeople on their sales. So you can see the overlap with what I do. So that makes sense to teach a class with him. So come up with your short list of people who would be ideal partners for you, to do a workshop, to do a training, to do an online course, or to add value to what you do? Who could you feature as an expert or as a VIP bonus to add value to what you do? And be discerning, and don't be afraid to go for somebody with a bigger audience, a bigger tribe, a bigger following, or somebody you perceive as more successful than you. And if that scares you a little bit, awesome. If it scares you to the point where you don't do it, that's when you and I need to have a conversation and get you past that. All right, Nat, any questions so far? We're good? Okay. So next, I love the idea of getting seen more often. So how do you do that? Top 5 things to get seen more often. Be on podcasts. Be on podcasts that also record video. And that just takes a little bit of research. Who's sharing content relevant to your tribe on social media, on your platform of choice, and actually interviewing people or talking, having conversations. Get seen in front of other people's audiences. Now, there's plenty of Facebook groups out there as well, where you could be a guest expert, you could be a featured speaker. If you need some lists of Facebook groups or LinkedIn groups, reach out to me separately. I'll share some links to groups that I have. But that's really without spending money on advertising, without spending money on Facebook ads, which I'm telling you, unless you have a couple $1,000s a month to spend on ads to split test and, test your market and test your audience, it's going to take you forever at 100, 200, 500 a month to get to where you need to go advertising wise. So if you want to hack that system a little bit and get seen, find those experts who have an audience or a Facebook group or a podcast or a community where you can show up and be a rock star. All right, that brings us to the community idea. Now, many of you know I've created numerous communities on Facebook over the years, depending on what offers I currently have. When I was a health coach, no matter what program I was offering, I would have an offer specific, to a certain audience, and then I would have build a Facebook community around that offer. I still do that same thing today, just on a smaller scale. Now I'm taking that community off of social media because of algorithms and all that crazy stuff. And I'm going to share a link in the comments if you want to join that community and have a bio, have a description, all that fun stuff. That's one way that you can show up more authentically. You can show up in a community and be a rock star. And you can associate with like-minded people. And it's not just my community. This is other communities as well. Do you have a community of your coaching certification? Do you have a community of a hobby? Do you have a community for maybe a coaching program that you paid to be in that you can show up in? All right, next, I'm going to talk a little bit about pitching yourself. Now, if you're going to pitch yourself to a podcast or a Facebook group, be prepared. Be prepared that they're going to ask for speaking topics, questions to answer you, a headshot, a small bio, and maybe, just maybe, have a speaker one sheet or a podcast one sheet. One of my accountability partners, Mason, did this amazing podcast one sheet with his speaking typical questions to ask, a headshot, his bio, his introduction. So have those things ready to go before you start pitching yourself. All right. Now, when you're ready to move past that and actually give a talk or show up in front of somebody else's tribe, what do you do? What do you do to show up as a rock star or show up authentically so that people reach out to you? I'm going to tell you what not to do. Don't say, buy my stuff. Don't say, here's my offer. Don't message people and ask if they want to hire you or want to buy your skincare or buy your vitamins or buy your coaching. Connect with people like humans. Connect person to person. If you hear something that you could help them with, by of course, ask if they would like some insights. Ask, if you could send them a direct message and help with that problem. Participating in, Facebook groups, online summits. I did one online summit before the pandemic that resulted in about 400 people getting added to my list, which seemed great until I realized that those 400 people were only after what I was giving away for free and never took the next step to actually book a call with me because maybe what I was offering was a little scary to them or a little over their head, or they didn't understand what I was offering. So if you're going to speak to a group or in a summit, make sure that that audience is going to be filled with your ideal clients. That's the best thing I could advise when you're speaking. It wouldn't make sense for me to go and speak to a bunch of 20-year-olds. They're not my ideal client. Now they could be, but for the most part, they're not my ideal client. So if you're ready to take that next step and be prepared to go and speak and go and show up authentically, what are the tips to do that? 1, be yourself. If you drop the F-bomb once in a while, don't be afraid to drop it. And by offending people who would be offended by your natural personality, it's scary to step into that. But when you actually embrace it, you push away those clients who are not a good fit for you. It doesn't have to be the F-bomb, but it could be political views, or it could be religious points of view, or it could be your take on certain things in your space that might polarize people. I kind of like when I get to do a polarizing post that pisses people off. I know if I've created emotion in a post that drives somebody to say, that's not true. Yes, I love that. I love that controversy because I know that's stimulating conversation. They might not be my ideal clients, but it's stimulating conversation and engagement, which is what you want on your social profiles. Okay, so now we're going to get into the really good stuff. Before I move on to how to create the content for your ideal clients, this is a psychological method that I've kind of developed over the years, and it's a blend of psychology, a little bit of persuasion, but not sleazy persuasion, and using language in a certain way to present what you have to your ideal clients, depending on where they are in the buyer's journey. So in the room right now, buyer's journey, do you understand what that is? Your customer's buyer, your buyer's journey. Do you understand what that is? Let me see hands. Okay, so your buyer's journey, for those of you that aren't familiar with it, is where your ideal client is in that ready to buy stage. So they're either new people, they don't know you, they've never heard of you, They're seeing you for the first time. That's that new person. Then a warm audience would be considered, oh, I know who Karen is. I'm not sure what she does, but she seems nice. We're friends, but I haven't really connected with her mission, her values, or her posts yet. But I know who she is. So they have an awareness of you. And then the really hot people or the ready people know you, know your content, have connected with you. Maybe they're in your community, and they're the people that want to read posts about what you do, what you're launching, what you're selling. Before that, nobody's interested in reading posts about what you're selling. They really aren't. They don't want to hear about your program. They don't want to hear about your offer. They don't want to hear about your course or booking a discovery call with you, because they're like, who is this person? And this takes a lot to really wrap your head around, that those new people who you've just friended, or they just followed you, or you just connected with, they have a problem, but they don't know that you can solve it yet. So what you want to be posting for those new people is something I like to call aware content. Aware content. This is an intro to what you do, how you help. You've been a coach for XYZ amount of years. I've been selling this for XYZ. I'm doing this for the healthy living community, like Denise does. I know her business inside and out, so I could always use hers as an example. So you want to intro yourself, intro what you do, intro the results that you deliver for your clients. Make them problem aware. If they're not aware of the problem that they have, make them aware of the problem. And then discussion starters. Discussion starters like, imagine, have you ever? And then ask a question at the end of the post that would drive that new person to comment. And of course, it has to be driven with value. If you sell products, please, no, at this stage, no pictures of your products, no sale, this is on sale type posts, none of that. All right, now your warm people are what I consider solution aware. They're aware of you. They're aware you might have a solution, but they're not sure what that looks like or if they trust you enough yet. So this is where education comes into play for those warmer people. What do you do? Not how do you do it? What do you do? You can do lists. You can do step-by-step solving posts. You want to shift beliefs at this stage. You also want to bust any myths. I love posts like that. You've probably read them of mine, where I bust some myth about coaching or being in the online space with my beliefs about coaching. I believe coaching is custom and co-created. Well, a lot of coaches believe that it's a group program where they never talk to their clients. I want to bust that. So standing in that lane, it pushes people away or it attracts people. And then this is also where you could, in this middle stage of the buyer's journey, you could also make people aware if you have a signature process. If you have something different than what other people who do what you do, this is where you could start talking about that signature process. And also, don't forget case studies, testimonials, sharing what your current clients, past clients say about you. Something I like to do is share what collaborators say about what's it like to work with me? What's it like to do a workshop with me? What's it like to come to a workshop? This is a free workshop. What's it like for you? Maybe you'll get feedback from this and I'll share it. But that's another possibility to expose, those warm people and build up that trust in you. All right, now those people that are ready, they know you, they like you, they trust you. Really, they're ready to buy, but they're not asking, right? You feel like you're talking to crickets online. Now, here's where the magic comes in. Yeah, this is when you make them aware of your product in a deeper, more meaningful way. Now, how do you do that? This is when you speak to their objections. Because you've done your ideal client research, your deep dive into your ideal client, you know what those objections are. And this is when, in that hot stage, you address those objections. You also give peeks behind the scenes. Take a screenshot of you on a group call like this. Take a screenshot of, you with a client. I recently shared a PowerPoint about what I do, and I had an entire slide of me with clients, me with client, me with client, one after another. Well, when I got to that slide, the people in the presentation were like, wow, who are all those people? Well, this is where I like to be. I like to be with clients, not trolling on Facebook to meet new people. I like to actually be with people. All right. So behind the scenes, speak to objections. Third, social proof and your results. What do your clients look like when you're done with them? How do they feel when you're done with them? What do they say when you're done with them? And this is where you can start to sneak in launch content if you're launching something, selling something. And listen, if you're selling an online program, course, a book, there's a couple authors in this room, 6 weeks of repeating yourself over and over and over until your whole tribe will see your content. Now sit with that for a second. I know I am guilty of posting launch content once or twice and feeling defeated. Yes? So if you have something to launch, a coaching program, a product for sale, or a book, it requires posting twice a day, every day, different times, personal page, business page on Facebook, maybe your group, maybe LinkedIn, maybe Instagram. And that needs to happen continually for 4 to 6 weeks for your entire tribe to see what the hell you're doing and see it more than once. They have to see it more than once. If they just see it once, whatever, scroll. They have to see it more than once to say, oh, that's right. Denise has a book. I need to buy it. Chris has a book. I need to buy it. Oh my gosh, there's a course coming out that goes with Chris's book and Denise's book. I need to get in there. 6 or 7 times they need to see that before they're going to click buy. Okay, now your invitation post. This is my favorite. Invite those warm people to comment. Invite those warm people to grab a PDF, grab a call with you. Who feels comfortable doing that? Who feels comfortable doing that? Call to action. I preach call to action all the time. David, share your most recent call to action that we worked on for that talk that you gave a couple weeks ago.
Just signing up for a complimentary coaching consultation and getting it through the text to join link.
Yes. So he had audience text him to get a link to schedule a call. And what happens when people text you? You have their number. Texting has a 99% open rate. Let's compare that to email. Don't you feel more connected to those people that text you? You feel like you know them a little bit more? I know I do. Okay. I'm going to open up the floor for questions, comments, strategy help if you need it. Where are you guys at? Go ahead, Denise.
Okay, so I have decided, okay, like I decided like a year ago, and I'm still saying I have decided that LinkedIn is the place that I'm going to spend my time, my personal time. My assistant's still going to post stuff on Facebook, and we're going to keep an eye on that too. But I am personally going to spend time on LinkedIn. And I do really good some weeks about posting, posting stuff. I'm really sucky at following up and all of that, because it's kind of that, oh, I'm in the middle of something. Oh, let me go check LinkedIn. What would you suggest as a time management tool? And I'm probably answering my own question in my own head.
Yeah, I don't think you need another tool. I'm sure there's, tools out there that you could use, but honestly, the notifications are on LinkedIn do a great job with telling you who's commented on your posts. You can go right to your own profile and go to your most recent post and see if there's comments there. It's more about getting in the habit of actually doing it. Now, there are certain people, and I recommend having that short list of people that you're either romancing as clients, romancing as collaboration partners, or, attracting to your personal email list. So keep track of those people, whether it's a spreadsheet or some people use Salesforce to keep track of those people. Something Monty does really well for his coach clients is keeps track of those new connections and possible clients in an Excel spreadsheet. I love that. I can't wait to have that for myself. But really, it's a time management thing. 10 minutes a day, maybe 5 minutes twice a day. I'm going to go and I'm going to look at LinkedIn. Did anybody comment on my stuff? Without attachment, like, oh God, no likes, not like that, but just with the idea to engage with those people.
So I'm laughing because, I have that on my calendar. Twice a day, 9:30 in the morning and 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
Okay.
So I said I was probably answering my own question, but I guess you're right. It's still, kind of getting into the habit. It's there. And usually I'm the person who says, if it's not on my calendar, it doesn't happen. Usually if it's on the calendar, it happens. When it comes to social media, I guess I get a block. It's kind of,
but yeah. And I will say, if you keep it, just like when I was participating in other people's Facebook groups, I'll use that as an example. I would pick 10 and I would put the links to those 10 groups. I would either pin those groups, in Facebook, or I would take those links and put them in a spreadsheet. And I would keep track of what days am I allowed to post? What days am I allowed to promote? And, LinkedIn is really similar. What days am I posting? Who am I interacting with? I have my 10 favorite people that whenever they post, if it's relevant, if I like it, or if I feel like I have something to add, I do.
Yeah.
I don't do it if I don't feel like it. To me, I can't just comment, oh yeah, that's great. Ugh. I don't want to do that.
I agree. And that's kind of the same thing, like with the likes and, if you're whatever the call to action, if you're going to say something, if you're going to respond with a real comment. as opposed to, oh, I like this. I have to say, I hate likes.
Mhm.
Because what does that even mean?
I don't know.
I mean, I posted, I mean, seriously, I posted about my friend passing away a couple of weeks ago and people liked it. Like, all right, weird.
Well, because it's mindless.
No.
You know, think about the scroll, and if they see Denise's name, oh, I like Denise, so like, honestly,
Yeah, you're probably right.
I mean, go ahead, Chris.
So let me share with you my philosophy, Denise. I appreciate what you're saying. My philosophy is simply this. If I see Denise's name and I know Denise, I'm not going to just like it, because if I like it, then I've scrolled. If I like something, if you look at my LinkedIn posts, if I like something, it's because I'm scrolling and I saw your name. And I skimmed it really quickly to make sure it wasn't a my dog died, right, kind of post, or I had a friend die, right? I'm not doing that. But I'm always trying to be creative in the way that I interact. If I love something, I'm going to interact with it. If I find it insightful or curious, I'm going to interact with it. If I support it or I celebrate it, I may not say anything. But I'm with you. This liking thing, no, I could care less. I don't care about that, because that to me means disengaged. It doesn't necessarily. It just means I saw your name and I know who you are,
Right.
and I want to support you, but I don't want to engage per se. I don't want to get totally involved and immersed in it.
Thank
Right.
you.
So that's my personal take on it.
I love it. I appreciate that. Thank you. Thanks, Suze.
Welcome. All right. Any other questions for me today? And don't forget to drop your LinkedIn profile or contact information in the chat so you guys can connect with each other. Go ahead, Karen.
I'd actually like to expand on what Denise was asking. When I first started following you, Suzanne, a while ago, you had asked a question about commenting when someone comments on your post. And so I'd like to go a little further with what Denise, and I am guilty of liking. If I see your name, I know it's going to be a good post. I may not have that moment to engage. I see Suzanne's name, it gets a like. Most of the time I do comment, but
Yeah.
I'm guilty of that. So please accept my like for just saying,
Oh, I accept your like, and I
like
raise
you.
you a like.
Okay. So with that said, my answer when you had asked that question on social media about do you respond to everyone's comment, at that time I said yes, but I wasn't in a caliber of business where I was getting tons of comments. What is your take now on that? What is your suggestion when someone like Chris makes a full comment that's really appropriate or fills in more information or whatever? Should someone be, and I don't like the word should, but appropriate. Is it appropriate to respond to each comment?
I think so, yes. And after I finish, I would welcome Monty's input here because he does such a good job with this on LinkedIn. I respond to everyone if they're engaging in a real way. Like if they just say, oh, I love this. I don't. But if they're engaging in a real way and I have something, like, Karen, thank you so much. It's a pleasure to, I don't know. To me, it has to feel something genuine, something they've added value to my post. Awesome. I have certain people that comment on my stuff who are just trying to get clients out of my comments.
Yep.
Right. Okay. I don't really care. Go ahead. Have fun. But I know the people that are doing that. I know by what they post, how they're positioning themselves. I understand what you're doing because, there's gurus out there that teach that, just go to other people's posts and comment your expertise and then message everybody else that comments and sell them your coaching instead of the expert. Okay. Have at it, I say. But as far as your posts, what I do and I'll use Chris as an example because he always drops some value in my posts.
Mhm.
If I comment, if Chris was a potential client for me, I would comment back, thank you so much. Your insights are so helpful. I really like what you say about XYZ, blah, blah, blah. And then I would send him a private message and say, yo, Chris, thank you so much for your engagement on my post about XYZ. I appreciate it. I love what you do. Would you like to grab a virtual coffee sometime and talk about what we do?
Awesome. Okay.
And then you never know, what's going to happen on that one-to-one. I think that's exactly how Chris and we were strangers. We met. Monty and I were strangers. We met, and we did that. You connect on a call. What do you do? What do I do? Who can I connect you with? Who can, you connect me with? And you end up doing a workshop with Chris, and, Monty's adding value to one of my coaching offers. Cool. Amazing. But you never know until you take it from the comments and take it private and then get it off social media as quick as possible.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
I'd be happy to jump into that if you wanted me
Yeah.
to.
Yeah, go ahead.
So from an algorithm standpoint, you want to reply to everybody's comments, even if it's just thanks for the comment. And the timing of which you do that's important as well. So when you post, LinkedIn is a time-based algorithm. So you have what they call the golden hour, right? So the first hour, you want to get as much engagement as you can to that. But you also want to respond timely to it as well. So what I tell everybody is that when you post, spend at least the first 30 minutes with your notifications, have your notifications on, so that when somebody does comment, you can get right back out there and reply to it. That does affect, how much LinkedIn's going to open up your network so that it can be seen more. So, it is annoying when people come in and just say, thanks for the post, thanks for whatever, but I always just respond to that. I appreciate it. Thanks for the engagement, and then it's, but if you're not in a pod, so to speak, that's where you've got 200 people that are just out there posting that kind of stuff on you shouldn't have much problem with people commenting like that. So, as far as the timing of which you do that throughout the day, the first 30 minutes to an hour would be important, and you can just follow the engagement and then just check back sporadically as you have time available. So if you want to put it on your calendar and schedule it, you can, but the most important time is that first hour.
Awesome. Thanks, Monty.
Thank you very much for that, Monty. That really helped a lot. And
Yeah.
that circles me back to what you opened up today with in choosing one platform.
Mhm.
Because I ain't got 30, 60 minutes to be hanging out on all the social media platforms waiting
Yeah.
for comments.
Yeah.
So that was awesome information from both of you. Thank you.
Yeah.
very
Are you still hanging out mostly on Facebook or?
At the moment, yes,
Mhm.
because yes.
Okay.
As Denise, I have now made a decision. A decision is a decision. It's not the action. I
Yeah.
made the decision to focus more on LinkedIn. I'm just getting back into the role of being back in active business again. So
Okay.
I'd rather.
Okay. There's
I'd rather-
probably some steps
Mhm.
that, when you do that, there's certain things you need to have in your LinkedIn profile, which maybe we'll talk about that next month in the community. Your profile should be a lead generator for you. I had 470 people visit my profile last month on LinkedIn. Now that doesn't mean much unless they're going to my profile and ending up, on my calendar, right? So it could be 470 people looking to sell me something, or it could be, half of those people are looking for a coach or a speaker, or, maybe one of my keywords, emotional intelligence, positive psychology, and they actually, I came up and they looked at me. The key is on LinkedIn, you can tell who's looking at your profile if you're a premium member. I'm not sure what you can tell if you're not a premium member, but that gives you a chance to see if they're strangers who are looking at your profile, and then you go look at theirs. It's kind of like, oh, she knows I looked at hers and now she looked at mine. And then that's an opportunity to send a connection request. I noticed your profile, blah, blah, blah. If they were an ideal client of mine, I've actually gotten clients that way because I knew they were looking at me. So let me make the first move, kind of like dating, right? Got to be willing to make the first move. We can talk about that too if you want.
That's dodgy nowadays, Suze.
What
I said that's dodgy nowadays.
is it?
Oh,
I
yeah.
like the idea of having a dating site on LinkedIn.
Well, no, you'll get some of those. Let's listen. That's a whole nother class about the single military out of the country living on an oil rig somewhere, and he needs emergency surgery and whatever. No, that's a whole thing.
But I was the only one that got those.
No.
Oh no, I got
sorry.
paid just yesterday.
Oh, congratulations,
Guys,
Kathy.
do you get those kind of things too?
Denise, you share yours with me and I'll share mine with you.
All right, guys, any other questions before we wrap up today?
Well, I have a question because what I'm getting from this is that I need to, it would be in my best interest to be putting out more social proof and more some of this other content before I, am going to invite people to another webinar, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And that makes sense to me. So I appreciate what you're saying.
Yeah. That's if you keep in mind those 3 stages of content, the cold, the warm, and the hot. You don't post invites, webinars, anything until at least the late, warm, early, hot stage. In that early stage, they need to know who Catherine is,
Right.
and what she does, maybe your morals, your values, your mission. And so that, think of it like a cocktail party. I think Monty has said that before. If you think of LinkedIn like a party, would you go up to a stranger? Do you want to come to my webinar? No. You'd be like, hi, I'm Catherine and I do XYZ. What do you do?
Yep.
Yeah, Chris.
So you talked earlier about this. There are, and to Catherine's point, there are plenty of CRMs that are available that will walk you through that. HubSpot, there's another one out there called Close, Salesforce, what you mentioned. Several of these have free platforms too, and they have the different channels that you can put or lanes that you can put people in, whether they're a prospect, a client, a warm, prospect, on the edge, quoted, right? I mean, you can put all of those things into those different boxes, if you will. But that's another way. If you're, I used to do the Excel spreadsheet. I used to do a legal pad.
Well,
But
me too.
Then I progressed and I went into the Excel spreadsheet, and then eventually I moved into the CRM. And I struggle with the CRM personally, right? Because I have to take the time to put the data in. Well, some of these they'll work off of your phone.
Yeah.
So like HubSpot, every time I'm on the phone, it says, did you connect? Did you not? Was it the wrong number? Did you connect with them? If so, how did you connect with them? Right. Every single phone call, whether I send it or whether I call or they call, emails, right? All of that stuff gets tracked. And so you can pin that to your contact and progress and all that stuff. So yeah, there's a lot of tools.
Which is awesome. When you get to the stage where you're attracting 20, 30, 40 people per post, but when it's just 1 or 2, and the mission is to get them on a discovery call or even a connection call, a legal pad is fine. You just have to be intentional about doing it. And I think that's That's the key. Don't
Absolutely.
get too bogged down with all the tools until you need the tools, right? I know I'm guilty of loving tools and loving software and loving technology, but I don't need 40 different things to help me do what I do, yet I'm still keeping my discovery call notes on a pad. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you guys. I'm going to hit stop record. And just as a reminder for anybody catching the recording in the Idea Lab community, this is the last training that's going to be advertised public. From now on, these monthly trainings, we will also be having weekly accountability calls for the group. And those calls will be personal development centered. Everybody will receive a membership to read it for me, which is book summaries. And every week you'll get 3 new book summaries totally for free, just for being part of the community. And then we're going to have calls where we talk about some of the concepts in those books. Everybody that knows me knows I am a speed reader. I love to read. I love giving books as resources. And this is a way to hack that system for me as a leader, to encourage you to learn more about entrepreneurship, business, personal development, personal growth. So excited to have all of you in the community sharing, developing. If you have events, you can share in the community. If you have a special promotion happening, obviously you can share about it. Don't be spammy, share value. I kind of think everybody that I'm inviting to the community already knows those things, but thanks for joining me here today. I hope it was helpful. And these trainings will take place monthly. And next month, let's talk about LinkedIn profiles and how they should look and how they can actually be a resume and call to action for those people visiting your profile. All right.